will fly through the air. Who's helping out today? I didn't even look. Flank DeForkington.
Mm-hmm.
All right, good. Thank you so much. Much appreciated. While you are there, by the way, on your left-hand side, you can pop down to contests and get all the details on how you can grab one of these Harley keys. I have already given mine away for the show today, but the times and giveaways do move around. So get all the details there. The Buzzard bike, courtesy of MMS and Budweiser, giving away a new Harley-Davidson Sportster. And I think there are 40 keys in all that we'll give away. But don't quote me on that, but a lot. Rover has your first key of the day, and then he will tell you when Stansbury and I are giving away ours. So he'll tell you what those times are. And then website also has the schedule of Dieter's appearances, where you can go out and see him and hang, have a couple of buds, and qualify for the key that way. I will tell you what. I know Rover does it in the morning, but I will give you a little a sneak peek here. You want me to tell people when mine is going to be tomorrow? You're not going to be here. You don't care.
I mean, I want people to know, though.
Yeah. Tomorrow, mine is going to be around 3:50.
You want to do the get down on my behalf? So Mary.
No. No, I can't do the get down.
Do you want me to record one?
That is, it's blasphemy.
Do you want me to record one for you to play?
No, for Mary?
Yeah.
No. No, I don't think so.
You like them live?
I like them live, in the room. No, tomorrow will be the Captain Fun and Stepmom Mare show. I mean, confer with her on that. She might want a recorded one. But
I don't think she would.
You don't think so?
I think it'd be better if it was a surprise.
I see. Boy, people have really been blowing me up about this Shelley Duvall thing. I didn't realize that many people cared.
I mean, she was a pretty big star for a while.
Yeah, but not for a long time.
It's been a while, but
Yeah.
I mean, she was in some very iconic movies and very iconic roles. The Shining was a massive movie.
It's my wife's favorite movie.
Popeye playing
The opposite of a massive hit.
The easiest casting of all time,
Yeah,
though.
olive oil.
Like, we need an olive oil. Like, well, that's going to be Shelley Duvall.
Yeah. Yeah, if you had seen photos of her recently, she looked very, very unhealthy. She had had a lot of mental health issues. I think one of the tabloids or some entertainment thing. It was like on the occasion of an anniversary of a film she did, I think. And they went and found Shelley Duvall, and I don't think she gave many interviews, but I think she might have given one in the last couple of years, and she seemed to be in very, very bad shape. She died in her sleep from diabetes. I think she had finally shown up in a movie. She basically took a 2-decade-long hiatus. But she was 75. She did stuff on children's television. But she lived in the town of Blanco, Texas. And she died in her sleep from complications of diabetes. She had been in a horror film last year. That was her big comeback. And she was on Dr. Phil a few years ago. And they kind of sensationalized what had been going on with her, but she was largely out of the public eye by that point, too. So she was telling Dr. Phil that she was very, very sick and that she needed help. And so he hooked that up.
That's nice of him.
But she left the facility within a week. And Dr. Phil at that time, you're kind of, and I'm no fan of Dr. Phil. I think all of this, kind of corn-pone down-home stuff, the guy's still doing a television show. And when you're doing that kind of, I don't think it's on anymore, but when you're doing that kind of show, it's going to be largely exploitative of the people who are on. Now, they're agreeing to be on. They're complicit in everything that's happening, but you don't know how that's going to spin out of control. But I know he got some pushback after having her on. You're kind of damned if you do, damned if you don't. Because it's not like anybody else was coming to Shelley Duvall's aid. So Dr. Phil puts her on and catches a bunch of heat for it, whatever. But he's like, I don't regret it. We tried to help her out. So, she had a lot of leading roles for a while. But she was not in good shape. But back in the day, boy, she had a very expressive face. She had these big eyes.
Yeah.
And, yeah.
I like the big eyes.
Like those big
I like them big
fish
bug eyes. Yeah.
big bug eyes. Yeah, she was in, Woody Allen liked her. She was in Annie Hall. Robert Altman liked her. He put her in a bunch of movies. But yeah, Olive Oil and The Shining were really the big ones that in the 80s, late 70s. She was in, remember Time Bandits?
Yeah.
They're rebooting Time Bandits as
A series, right?
an Apple TV show. Yeah,
Yeah.
with Lisa Kudrow,
Oh.
oddly enough. It could be entertaining enough.
Hmm.
But yeah, Time Bandits is a great British film. And she would show up in things. There was a Soderbergh movie. I don't remember the name of it. I remember in that a long time ago. So there you go. For everybody, hey, you gonna talk about Shelley Duvall? Hey, you gonna talk about Shelley Duvall? Yeah, yeah. See, hey, did you see Shelley Duvall? Also, people are saying that because there's a lot of time travel in it or multiverse type stuff, that the rumors that Olivia Munn is in a Deadpool Wolverine as Psylocke.
Oh.
Yeah. So that might be something to look into.
It's been so long, I feel like, since there's been a Marvel movie. Like when I think
Well, they kind of really pulled back on the
they
whole
really
thing,
did.
right? They're
So
like,
we'll-
we're reassessing the value of these things after the Marvels
Yeah.
fell on its face, which I didn't mind. I went to go see it. I didn't mind it.
I didn't mind it either. I thought it was fun.
Yeah. I like that Brie Larson.
Oh, she's got some jugs.
Does she?
There's like a.
She looks like somebody who would be really flat.
Well, there's a video that goes around of. I think she's on Jimmy Kimmel.
In the
or
black
she was
dress.
In the black dress. So I always think
That's
of that.
like the only time
Well,
she looked really pushed.
That's what I see the most.
Oh, okay. She looked really pushed up in that, though.
Yeah, it's still good. But she did look great in the Marvels.
He looks good. She's cute.
Yeah.
She's a lovely woman. She was in one of those King Kong movies from a few years ago. They kind of do a round robin with whoever the big stars of the day are every time they're going to do a new King Kong movie, and she was in the one that they did with John Goodman and Tom Hiddleston from some years ago. I've got Kids Corner here, by the way.
It ain't easy being a kid. Now look at what you gone done did. Whoa, it's time for Kids Corner. Kids Corner.
Speaking of some pushback, Chick-fil-A is kind of getting dragged right now because they have a summer camp where families can pay upwards of $50 to have their kid work at Chick-fil-A. They call it a summer camp. They say that this is a way for kids to learn customer service skills because it's never too early to train the next generation of wage slaves. So why not? Summer camp for children, targeted to kids between 5 and 12 years old. Now, it will not shock you to learn that this is in Louisiana. One of those states, a lot of these red states now, they're playing real fast and loose with the concept of child labor.
I love it. Who can we pay less? Kids.
And so they're like, oh, well, this is a great way for kids to learn. Now, are there valuable skills in dealing with people publicly? Absolutely. But why make them pay for it? Why charge them to do it?
Hey, if you can get somebody to pay to work for you
For free.
you're killing it.
Pay you to work for free.
You're paying to like, hey, you give me $50 and I'll let you learn some lessons.
But what is a 5-year-old? Have you ever tried to teach a 5-year-old anything? What is a 5-year-old going to learn working behind the counter at Chick-fil-A? You have to chaperone them around.
They're gonna learn that not everybody likes kids.
And the activities that these campers do, learning dining room hosting and customer service skills, learning how to take an order, learning how to bag an order. They should have the kids stand out there with the iPads in the drive-through lane.
Kids love iPads.
Oh, you
They're
can't
so
keep
good
those
with them.
kids off the
They're
tablets.
so good. You can just be like, oh, this is the iPad game. They tell you what you want, and you get to put it in. It's a fun game.
You get up to the
you'll have a
window,
good time.
every order's wrong because the kid was just standing there playing Minecraft.
Well, it can't read either.
Didn't know anything. Making your own ice cream cone. So, yeah, this franchisee down in there in Hammond, Louisiana, is putting on what they call a Chick-fil-A summer camp.
Is this something that Chick-fil-A is going to allow? I mean, because I know you have your own franchise, but I'm sure they have rules they have to abide by, and summer camp seems a little out of bounds.
I think as long as they're not open on a Sunday,
Yeah,
I don't
that's
think
all.
that they really care.
No Sunday, no gays.
Yeah. Well, but listen, you got to get kids when they're young, right? That's their thought process, or whoever this franchisee is. That's why a lot of these kinds of people in red states are desperate to control public schools. It's why they have such massive boners for getting the 10 Commandments in
Right.
schools. You have to get kids when they're young. If you're going to, it's not that these people are against indoctrination.
They just want their indoctrination.
Their indoctrination, of course. That's why they're trying to decimate schools and little kids. They're not trying to do this in high schools and colleges.
Also, the majority of people that get popped for pedophilia are pastors and stuff like that. So they're like, oh, this might boost our sales at Chick-fil-A if we got kids working here.
But you got to remember, it's also not their fault. It's the kids' fault. There's a pastor who was one of, when Trump was president, one of his spiritual advisors, because you know how deathly important that is to him, to have a spiritual advisor, was a megachurch pastor, this guy named Robert Morris, who initially was pretty indignant, and I'm not stepping down. This is a megachurch pastor in Dallas who was a Trump pal. And this woman comes forward and goes, well, this guy molested me when I was 12. And his wife was like, well, he talked about this years ago, but it wasn't a molestation. She was staying at his house or whatever. And this guy's like, I'm not going to step down because it's all hashtag fake news. Except it's not fake news. And so this guy ended up having to resign and said that this woman who is 52 years old now. This happened Christmas Day in 1982. You know, the Lord's birthday, if you're one of these guys. I guess he wanted to give himself a present. And so she said that when she was 12, she had been staying with the pastor and his wife, and he asked her to come into his room and then asked her to lay on his bed and then started touching her inappropriately when she was 12. And so he got himself a lawyer, and the lawyer's take on this is, well, it was the girl who was to blame because she should have never gone into his room. So this is how they're going about it. Well, when she was 12, it was her fault. She was wearing that Holly Hobby nightgown after all. And again, these megachurch pastors, you know, they have private. I don't know the particulars of this guy's life, but these are not poor people. And so this woman is not really asking for a ton of money. She's asking for his church to pay for her counseling. She wants about $50,000. She's like, this might shock you to find out, but I've been in intense therapy my whole life. But his lawyers, and again, you have to sign off on what your representation is going to do. And so his attorney's like, I think our best course of action is to blame the victim, namely a woman who was 12 years old when this. And again, this is standard right-wing evangelical stuff. If you come from that environment, you know this because it's.
But Biden's old.
Well, but it's very steeped in the whole like, well, God gave men these sexual appetites, and man is supposed to take charge. That's all that trad wife stuff. So sex has never ever really been the issue with a lot of these like right-wing religious organizations. It's about keeping men above women. It's not about sex. I mean, anytime they talk about purity, they're always talking about their daughters and their wives. They're not talking about their sons because those people are like, well, guys kind of get to do what they want because that's how guys are made. And so if You fell prey to a 12-year-old. Well, that's just, what can I tell you? I am as God made me. There's a lot of that. So it's no real big shock. I mean, to the rest of us rational human beings, it's a shock. When you go, oh, so your defense is blame the girl who was 12 at the time. That's weird. But to people in these organizations, they're like, a man gonna be a man. So this dude had to sign off on that. You know, they just found out that this New York Times best-selling author was arrested on child porn charges. I didn't recognize the guy, but he's written a lot of books that have done really well. A guy named Brendan Dubois, who has written books with James Patterson, who is a really well-known author, a very successful author. This guy's an older dude. He's been writing for a long, long time. You might have even read a Brendan Dubois book. Guy's written upwards of 30 books. And
I haven't.
They were watching this guy for a month in New Hampshire. And they scooped him up, did a search warrant of his home, found computers full of awful stuff. And so, obviously, his publishing company is suspending the sales of his books. I wonder what they were about. They were figure amounts or whodunums. And, you know, imagine you're working in the, anybody who's working in public relations or crisis management, I mean, your entire day, every day, is made up of putting out statements for things like this. And it's pretty much, I mean, at this point, you probably have if you work in crisis management or PR, you probably have a template for what your public statement is going to be. You know, where you just cut and paste that we are deeply disturbed. We are horrified by take your pick, by the serious allegations. Our values need to be upheld, blah, blah, that kind of thing.
What?
Because you have a guy on in your publishing group who found him with kiddie porn. So you got to have something at the ready.
There's so many people doing stings now, Chris Hansen style, but it's just like YouTube and Instagram and TikTok. And it's crazy how many people know they're walking. They're like, I have a feeling this isn't, like, they talk about it the whole time. Like, I knew this wasn't the real thing, but I just couldn't help myself. And they still do it. It's a crazy thing to know you're going to get in trouble or have that feeling like you're going to get in trouble, but the odds are you'll get away with it, or the odds there's a small chance you'll get away with it, and you're like, I'm going to play for that small chance that I'm going to get away with doing something terrible.
They get a full head of steam.
Mm-hmm.
I can't control my horny level.
Exactly.
Hey, Joe.
What's up, Alan?
How are you?
All right, how you doing?
Good, man.
Hey, man, it drives me crazy. I don't know what you got, how you always blanket Republicans together. You have no idea if this was a Republican person or a Democratic person. You always just
wait. Who are we talking about? Which guy?
The church. Well, when you were talking about churches, you were saying these churches say worry about our women, but the boys can do anything. That's such BS. I don't even know where you come up with that from.
Because that's what they say.
No, they don't say that.
Joe, it's their words, not mine. I'm not making it. I'm not pulling this out of whole cloth. That's kind of the stated goal of the whole thing.
You think these church leaders are standing up in front of the press or whoever, the elders or whatever, and saying, you know what, we watch over our girls, but our boys can do whatever they want. That's garbage.
Well, you have to look at what they do, Joe. Okay, take what they say out of it then. I'll give you that. If you want to say they don't say that, fine. I've heard them say it, but okay. Say what they do then. Watch what they do.
Okay, so there's not bad teachers that do the same thing that are maybe Democratic?
Wait. How did we get on to teachers from a pastor who's been accused of molesting a girl?
I'm saying there's people in every profession that are bad. There's bad cops. There's bad teachers. There's bad nurses. Not all of them are.
But you're changing the subject, Joe. I'm talking about a pastor of an evangelical megachurch who is now in trouble for molesting a girl, and he's blaming her, basically saying it was her fault. You think that guy's
so that's a bad dude. It's an apple. He's a bad apple. It doesn't make all Republicans think that our boys can do whatever they want.
Well, I didn't say Republicans. I said evangelicals.
You said right-wingers.
Well, of course.
You said right-wingers.
Does that guy sound like a liberal to you, Joe?
Who knows?
Who knows?
Wait,
Who knows? He was Trump's spiritual advisor. You think that guy's a progressive?
all I'm
Joe,
saying is,
it's okay to agree with me. It's all right.
because every time you bring up something, you say it's probably one of those crazy far right wingers, and you don't
Because
even
they
know what
are,
you're
Joe. It's
saying.
okay. They are.
So 50% of the world is just nuts. Anybody that's Republican, we're all just out here crazy, and you guys are the ones that hold everything together.
Well, first of all, Joe, I didn't know if you were a Republican or not. You just told me.
Yeah, I did. I just told you.
Okay. Well, your guy is a convicted rapist. You okay with that?
No, I'm not. And
But you'll
I'm
vote
not
for
okay
him.
with People,
But you'll vote for him.
I'm not. Yeah, I will vote for him.
Okay.
You going to vote for Biden?
So of course.
So he supports his felony son. That's okay with you?
His son is not trying to become the president of the United States, Joe.
It doesn't matter.
It does matter. Why does it not matter? You're changing the subject again.
No, you think Biden's okay, and it's okay with him to fully support and say his son didn't do anything wrong, and I'm backing him. You think it's okay for
Joe,
a president
he
to
didn't
turn the
say,
other way?
Joe, he didn't say his son didn't do anything wrong. His son went on trial, and he said, I'm not going to interfere in that trial. It's very different than how if it had been Hunter Trump, your guy would have shut the whole thing down. So, no, it's not apples to apples, Joe. But again, you've changed the subject because I was talking about this evangelical pastor. And we can both agree on that.
Yeah, he was terrible. He's a terrible dude.
Yes. Okay, thank you, Joe. That's what I was trying to get to. We can agree on what I was talking about, not what you said I was talking about. So that's where they're going with that. It was her fault. So good luck, I guess. I mean, that's a wild way to approach it. I got these Black Dahlia murder tickets. Our metal show, 2 Hours to Midnight MMS, are presenting the show. I could not be more pleased. Love these guys. The show is October 3rd at the Agora. They're bringing a bunch of other awesome bands with them. I will also have your last shot of the day to grab $1,000. That last keyword from the Buzzard Bookie is coming up at 5:30.
The Alan Cox Show.
On our free iHeartRadio app and your favorite smart device. Just tell it to play the Alan Cox Show on iHeartRadio. Our iHeartRadio Music Festival, presented by Capital One.
Coming back to Las Vegas. September 20th and 21st. Streaming live only on Hulu.
Just added to the superstar lineup.
Dua Lipa and Halsey. Sharing the iHeart stage with Big Sean. Camila Cabello. Doja Cat. Gwen Stefani. Hosier. Keith Urban. New Kids on the Block. Paramore. Shabuzi. The Black Crows. Thomas Rhett. Victoria Monet.